Hello there, boys and girls, and welcome to another Moody Mountain Goat Math movie. This is the only place where you get to be the therapist and try to solve all of math's problems. Today we're going to be talking about multiplying mixed numbers. That begins on page 64 in your book. This is building off of our previous lessons of estimating, multiplying a fraction by a whole number, and in last lesson we learned about multiplying fractions. So today we're going to continue with that theme of multiplication, and we're going to be multiplying numbers. And you're ready to go. I'm going to show you a couple of methods that you can use to multiply mixed numbers. And the first method is going to be asked to multiply 1 times 2 3/4. Now, just a quick review. A mixed number is a fraction that has a whole number with 2 is our whole number and 3/4 is our fraction. They constitute the mixed number. So what we're doing here is we're multiplying our fraction by our mixed number. In order to do this, our first method requires us to split apart. So we're going to split it, and we're going to do 2. We're going to split it into 2. Because when you put these two together, you get 2 3/4. From here, we're going to use our distributing property that we learned in chapter 1, and we're going to distribute the 1/2 to the 2, and then we're going to distribute the 1/2 to the 3/4, and then we're going to add them together. So, see what I've done. I've done the 1/2 times the 2, and we need to add the 1/2 times the 3/4. So when we go through and we perform our operations, remember that across the top or our numerators, and so we have 1 times 2, and that's going to be 2. And then we're going to, on our bottom, we're going to do 2, 1, and that's going to be 2. We can simplify that down to 1. And then over here, on our other side, over here, we need to multiply across our numerators and do 3 times 1 gives us 3. And our denominator, 4 times 2, 8. And then we need to bring down our addition sign, and we need to add these two together. So we have 1 plus 3/8, and our answer is going to be 1 3/8. And just like that, now we're not be simplified anymore. Okay, 1 3/8 is our answer. Here's another one that we can do. Let's practice on this one using the distributive property. We're going to take 2/3 and we're going to multiply that 2/3, and we're going to set up the distributive property. Break apart mixed number into plus 1/2. Now what we're going to do is we're going to distribute the 2/3 times the 1, and we're going to distribute the 2/3 times the 1/2. So up here, let's do 2/3 times 1. Multiply your numerator and your whole number, and 2 times 1 is 2. Write it under the same denominator, and you get 2/3. And then we have to multiply 2/3 times 1/2. So 2/3 times 1/2. And we're going to multiply across the top. 3 times 2, our denominator is 6. We can reduce that by 2, can't we? 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we're left with 2 plus 1/3. So we'll see here. 2/3 plus 1/3. And now there's a lot. I apologize for that. So I'm doing my multiplying 2/3 here. And then 1/2 I did right here in yellow. And we got 2/6, and then we and brought it down here, and then we brought our addition sign and we put it down here, and we have to add these two together. When you add, remember you have to have common denominators. In this case we already do, so we can add our numerators. I get 3 keep our same denominator. That's also 3. 3 over 3 can be reduced to 1 is my final answer. Now we went fast and we went furious on that. So I'm going to give you one. Here, I want you to try this one. I want you to break it apart, use the distributive property, and see what you come up with. Unpause the video when you're ready. Alright, let's get started. We need to use our 3/5, and we're going to multiply that, and we're going to break apart our mixed number into 2 plus 1/6. And then what I need to do is I need to multiply my 3/5 times 2. So let's do that in red. 3/5 times 2. Multiply your numerator and your whole number, which is 3 times 2, you get 6. Keep your same denominator, which is 5. Now we need to distribute our 3/5 times our 1/6. So let's write that over here in green. 3/5 times 1/6. And I'm going to look at my cross multiples. 5 and 1 can't reduce, can they? There's no number that goes both into 5 and 1. But look at 3 and 6. We can reduce that, can't we? What number goes both into 3 and into 6? The answer is 3. 3 goes into 3 one time. How many times does 3 go into 6? And now we multiply across the numerator and the denominator. The numerator, 1 times 1 gives me 1, and 5 times 2 on the bottom gives me 10. So now I have 1/10. The last thing that we need to do is to add these two together. We bring down this addition sign, and we add those two together. So we need common denominators. Our common denominator is going to be 2, right? Well, 1/10 already has a denominator of 10, so I'm going to leave that just the way it is. But I need to change 6/5. Now, how am I going to change 6/5? What can I multiply by to get our denominator to be 10? You multiply 5 by 2 to get 10, so that means you have to multiply the numerator by 2, and you get 6 times 2 is equal to 12. And so when we write these fractions with a common denominator, we get 12 over 10. Don't forget, we got to bring down this addition sign, so we're going to add them. Now we can actually add these because you can see that our denominators are the same, 10 and 10, so we add our numerators. So 12 plus 1 gives us an answer of 13. We keep our same denominator and get 10. Now our last step is just to simplify. And when we look at our numerator is in fact bigger than our denominator. So we ask ourselves, how many times does 10 go into 13? 10 goes into 13, 1, which is 10. How many do you have left over? 3, and you put it over 10. If you're not sure how I did that, this is your thought process. You ask yourself, how many times does 10 go into 13? It goes in there one time. That's 1/10. But you still have 3 left over that you have to get to 13, and that becomes your numerator, and you keep your denominator. This cannot be simplified, so we're done at 1 3/10. Here's method number 2 I personally like to use. You number, which we have here, into and an improper when your numerator than your denominator. So we're going to take our mixed number and we're going to turn it into a proper fraction by following a couple of steps. Step number 1, if you need to multiply the denominator and the whole number. So you multiply the denominator and the whole number. In this case, gives us an 18. Keep that number in your head, 18. The second step is we need to add the numerator. So we're going to add the 2. So 6 times 3 is 8. What we have to do is we have to add the numerator, and 18 times 2 is an answer of 20. And then the final step is we need to put it over the same denominator or the original denominator. In this case, our original denominator in our problem was 3. And so what we're going to put it over is 3. So now what we've done is we've taken our mixed number here and we've performed multiplication, 6 times 3. We add 20. Here's 20, and we put it over our original denominator, 3. This is a mixed number. This is an improper fraction. Our numerator is more than our denominator. Now we're going to put that into practice on you can use the distributive property, which is method number 1. This is method number 2 that I'm going to show you, and we're going to use what we just did. We're going to keep 1/2 the same, but our mixed number, we're going to change into an improper fraction. To do that, multiply our denominator by our numerator, in this case 4 times 8, and then we're going to add our numerator, which is 3. 8 plus 3 gives me 11. And we put it over our original denominator, which is 4. Now, what we can do is we can just multiply our numerators, multiply our denominators, and get our answer. So when we multiply across the top, 11 times 1 is 11. And multiply our denominators, 4 times 2, and get 8. And your answer is 11/8. Now you can't leave it like that. You have to a mixed number. Denominator is smaller than our numerator, we have to ask ourselves how many times does 8 go into 11? Well, 8 goes into 11, 1 going over, and then you need 3 more to get to 11 because 8 one time is 8, plus 3 is 11, and you keep that denominator, and so our answer for this problem is going to be 1 3/8. So we use the distributive property. It doesn't matter because each problem or each method will get you to the right answer. I just happen to like method number 2. Okay, here we're going to follow the same process, except you'll notice that we have 2 mixed numbers. We have 1 4/5, and we have 3 2/3. We're going to multiply these the same way we did. I'm going to use the method and 4/5 into you wrote them down. Step number 1, multiply the denominator and the whole number. 5 times 1 would give me 5. Add the numerator. 5 plus 4 gives me 9. And we put that over 5. Now our second fraction, or mixed number, we have to also fraction, following the same rules. Multiply the whole number. 3 times 3 gives you 9. Add the numerator. 9 plus 2 gives you 11. And you put it over your same denominator. Now we're at the point where we can multiply. And here's where you have the choice. You can cross-cancel by looking at the denominator of one fraction and the numerator at the other one, and the 9 here and the 3 here, or you can and then simply simplify. I'm going to choose, in this case, to cross-cancel. Excuse me. And you just a quick review because you want to make an X in the middle. You're going to look at the 5 and the 11, and you're going to look at the 9 and the 3 to see if there's anything that can be canceled out. So here we go. I can see that I can cross cancel. 3 goes into 3 one time, and 3 also 3 times. 11 and 5 cannot be cross canceled, so I'm going to leave that. But at least I'm working with some smaller numbers. Now let's multiply across our numerators. 3, our new numerator is 3. 3 times 11 is 33. Now I'm going to multiply on our denominators. 5 times our new denominator, 1. And I'm done. Step is to put this back into a mixed number, and we have to ask ourselves, how many times does 5 go into 33? Well, I know that 5 times is 25. Can it go in 6 times? 6 times is 30, so I know I'm still below 33. Can it go in 7 times? Well, 7 times 5 is 35. So our answer is going to be 6 go into 33. 6 times 5 is 30. That leaves 3 more to get to 33, and you keep your same denominator. So our answer is 6 3/5. If you're confused about how to go from an improper to hesitate to ask some questions. Okay, this is going to be our last example, and then you're going to get to do some on your own. We have 1/3. We're going to leave that one like it is, and then we're going to change our other mixed number into an improper. Remember how to do that? What's your first step? Multiply the denominator and the whole number, so 6 times 1, and you get 6. Then you add the 1, and you get 7. Keep it under your same denominator, and that's 6. Now, we look for cross cancel. Can 1 6? Nope. Can 7 cross cancel with 3? Nope. There's no number that goes into both 3 and 7. So now we know that we can just go ahead and multiply. Multiplying our numerators, we get 1 times 7 is 7. Multiplying our denominators, we get 3 times 6 is 18. That cannot be reduced. Alright, this one is one for you to try. Up your up. You need to pause the video and see if you can work this out. Unpause it when you're ready. Alright, let's see how you did. First, you should have to an improper fraction. The whole number times the denominator. Then you add your numerator, and you get 6 plus 1 is 7. Keep that same denominator. Then you're going to multiply 4 over 9. At this point, you can look and see if you can cross cancel. 2 goes into 2 one time, and 2 times. Then you multiply your numerators. 7 times 2 is 14. And multiply your denominators. 1 times 9 is 9. The last step that we need to do is put this back into a mixed number by asking ourselves, how many times does 9 go into 14? 9 one whole time, and it has 5 out of 9 left over. So if you got this answer correct, you should have 1 5/9. Last one here for you to try. Don't get intimidated by this. You're going to change both of these into improper fractions, multiply, then put them back into mixed numbers. Pause the video here, work this out on your notebook, and then unpause it when you're ready for the answer. Okay, let's see how you did. First things first, we need to change 1 7/8 fraction. Denominator times 1 is 8, plus our numerator, 7, is 15. Keep our same denominator. Now we need to change an improper fraction. 5 times 2, denominator times our whole number, is 10, plus 2 is 12. and we keep our same denominator, which is 5. At this point, let's see if we can cross cancel. I can do a lot. 5 goes into 5 one time. 5 goes into 15 3 times. Also, 8 and the 12 goes into 8 2 times, and 4 goes into 12. Now, and I need to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. 3 times 3 gives me 9. Now my last step is to put this back into a mixed number. How many times does 2 go into 9? 4 whole times, which is 8, which means I have 1 and I keep my denominator. 4 and 1/2 should be your final answer. Well, today's lesson, I hope I made it easy for you to understand. If you have questions, you can go back and re-watch this video. Make sure you're taking notes, but come with questions and I'll be glad to answer them. Our final question, what's a skeleton's favorite musical instrument? The answer is the trumpet. You learned something. I'll catch you for the next video. Remember, as always, loves you and that you're special. Have a good one.